Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Raven's Readings. Here are two more of my own stories. I'll be doing these on Fridays and P.G. Wodehouse's Inimitable Jeeves on Tuesdays. I do like writing to a variety of challenges and have done over 100 of these stories so far. You can read them via my website at ravenzoo.ca. Today's are both from 2012. For the first one, the challenge was to pick a random song title from iTunes, was my prompt. I got the song, I Remember. I remember. I remember those first days of spring with warm breezes, melting snow, the sun bright enough off it to make you blink. The ballparks would still be soggy, so we'd meet on the street in front of my place and spend a few hours working the winter kinks out of our gloves and ourselves. I remember the simple pleasure of the wind-up, the stretch, the throw, all so fluid and effortless after years of practice. The solid thwack in my glove as the ball came back, and the friendly teasing if I missed a wide throw. I remember the games on a sunny afternoon, some of them league, some just pick up. The crack of the bat, the slide into a base, the calm of the outfield, the first cold beer in the dugout after the game. I remember walking the streets on a warm day, lunch at one place, beer at another, friends everywhere I went, always glad to talk sports with me. Then at the end of the day, back to my little apartment for a simple dinner and some baseball or hockey on the TV. I remember those early years for my Senators, only 10 wins the first season and not much better for the next few. I stuck with them, though, especially when they played against those Leafs, and I was glad to debate players and ratings with anyone. I remember when the aches and pains got worse, the specialists, the treatments, never a complete cure, just a postponement, they said. After that, people would tease me about forgetting things. I'd get tired if I hurried too much, and my throwing arm had slowed to no better than a gentle lob to my grandson. He smiled at my style just the same and still wanted to hear my stories. I remember that one day, not long ago, when the pain hit me like a wild pitch to the side of the head, bringing me right down to my knees. More doctors, more tests, my family all around me crying. I tried to tell them it was okay, and as I closed my eyes and let the pain finally fade away. I remember a lot less after that, just bits and pieces of the good days, but I must be doing okay because my kids aren't arguing anymore about me going into a home. I feel better than I have in years. I remember this bar too. It's one of my favorite spots, small and always friendly. Big screen TVs for the games, a good hot lunch, cold beer, my seat at the bar, my buddies all around me. They've got that big side door open today, letting the fresh air and sun and laughter come in from the patio. All my day needs now is a nice cold bottle of blue. I forget the name of the bartender. I forget a lot now, but he's nice like all of them, so I just call out to him, "Hey, buddy." I raise my fist for a bump, but he doesn't see me at all. That's been happening to me lately. I sometimes think I know why, but then it slips away from me. No matter, it's all good. Maybe another day I'll have that beer after the game. For now, I'll just sit here with my friends, enjoying the day. They remember. The end. So many good memories, but all things must end. This was for Archie. For the second, we were given a list of 10 random words to include in a story. I did a bit of speculation with a First Nations twist. What if? The gate sat smack dab in the middle of the farmer's cornfield, an annoying but manageable location. This was the 10th gate the alien artifact had created, so by now there was a process to follow. The advance team had cleared a narrow but muddy path through the field and set up fences and the portable containment station. They'd left Carl to babysit until the team arrived later in the day from the university in Toronto. It seemed like an insult to ask him, a double PhD at 22, to do this, but there was little justice in university politics. The gate was locked down anyway, until they could send a sterile robot through on recon, so his being there was just a formality. Each gate was linked to somewhere and somewhen. preliminary readings for this one said that where was the same location and the when was about 1000 AD. No danger of any dinosaurs bashing at it. Carl stared at the gauges, bored, scratching idly at his blond beard. He'd grown it in a futile attempt to look more mature. He ran his finger over the access panel. What the heck, he thought. One peek wouldn't hurt. He keyed in the code, and the immense force field, swirling like a tornado, shimmered, then faded. He poked his head through. Bright blue sky, long grass waving in the wind, a thick forest in the distance, birds chirping, a mixed bouquet of spring flower scents, and several small animals grazing by the forest edge. Sort of like the area on his side of the fence, but without all the noise and pollution. The colors and sounds and smells all seemed enhanced, like in a paradise, but maybe that was just an effect of the gate field on his head. Suddenly a sparrow swooped past his shoulder and on through the gate. He took a step after it in reflex, arm up, mouth open in shock, just as the bird flew right back past him into the present. He pulled back in haste and rekeyed the gate field. He'd almost passed through with no protective clothing. Contamination of the past and possible alteration of the present was a danger they were all aware of. Luckily, the gate monitoring was off, so his mistake would go unheeded. Well, if the monitoring had been on, or if he had been honest later, the team would have found and retrieved the large clump of mud his boot had left in the past, and retrieved the several seeds in the mud, especially the kernels of corn. Modern corn, enhanced for growth and yield, resistant to disease and pests and drought. Seeds left in a field 1,000 years ago on the edges of the developing Huron nation. Seeds with the potential to provide a miracle food for the country's first peoples, replacing perhaps a dependence on the meager maize crops, on the necessity of a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, on the evolution of a culture and lifestyle vulnerable to the might of Europe. He wiped the sweat from his bare face with relief. No harm done after all. Everything okay. The gauges looked normal. He hadn't turned into a purple monster or erased the world. He heard voices outside. They were back. He stepped through the door and flipped his dark braids over his shoulder and waved with relief. "Ho, little bear," called the leader. "Hope you didn't fall asleep on us. The ride took longer than we thought." The leader slid down off his horse. "We brought all the equipment we needed from the elders. It was decided this will be a Bear Nation find. It's finally our turn to manage one and learn. We can't always be trading for technology with Europe, and we need to encourage our own scientists. And of course, we brought grav sleds, so we can't forget in our haste that we also must show respect for Mother Earth." He pointed the remote and lowered the laden sleds to the ground by the station. "So, anything exciting happened while we were away?" Little Bear shook his head. "Oh, no, my brothers. Just a quiet and boring wait." The end. I'm intrigued by this idea, the introduction of a super crop into a subsistence culture in the past. What sort of North America would Columbus have found? Would it have been partnerships rather than a conquest? Stay tuned for more podcasts, either my own stories on Fridays or some of the classics on Tuesdays. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get the next installment as soon as it's ready. If you enjoyed this reading or have other stories you'd like to hear, leave me a comment. And do check out my other posts on my Substack at ravensview.substack.com. Ta-ta for now.